first of all, I mean, what thoughts ran through your head when you saw the vote totals last night and realized just how big a victory it was going to be?
Well, it's incredibly humbling. I think being born and raised in Stockton and having the opportunity to serve as mayor, it's a huge honor and one I don't take lightly. So I was really excited and happy. It was just validation of the work we put in, not just in this campaign, but in the past 2.5 years as a council member. So I remember saying thank God. And also thank you, Stockton. I think oftentimes Stockton gets a bad rap, but the people show that they could decipher between lies and the truth, that they know what's right, good and bad, and they made the right decision. So I'm really excited about it.
Why do you think you won?
Well, we won the primary, I think, number one, because we had a huge coalition of support. We had people from the White House all the way to Conway Holmes saying that Michael Tubbs is the one I want to be mayor of Stockton. We've ran a great campaign. We talked about not just where Stockton's been, but where Stockton needs to go and how to get there. We knocked on thousands of doors, called thousands of voters, and we stayed positive. And I think people have also noticed, as a part-time council member, the amount of change that's happened in the district I represent. It's not that South Stockton is magically Disneyland because I'm a city council person, but in the past 3.5 years, things have changed, and the majority of voters saw that and said, if he could do that in South Stockton, he could also do that with us for the whole city.
Can you share anything about conversations you had with your mother after winning last night? I mean, she's obviously been by your side every step of the way through.
What's funny is my mom, aunt, and my grandmother had very few words with me last night. This is just a sheer amount of people. So we hugged, she gave me a kiss on the cheek, said, I'm so proud of you, God is good. Which is funny because she was initially a little bit worried about me coming back to Stockton after graduating from college. But now she's all in. And I think the campaign, just because of the nastiness and some of the mudslinging and lies, did a lot for my family's mental psyche. So I think for them it's validation that despite the lies, despite the rumors, that the majority of the city understood what time it was in terms of moving Stockton forward. So she was happy, but we haven't yet had a debrief yet, so hopefully we'll do it tonight or tomorrow.
Can you put into words the significance of becoming Stockton's first black mayor?
Again, like I said before, when I ran, I think Stockton's diversity is a huge asset, and leadership from Stockton can come from anywhere. So I think being the first black mayor is an incredible accomplishment for the city, because there's probably hundreds and hundreds of other, not just black people, but Filipino people, there's hundreds of other folks who could have been mayor at some point in Stockton's history. So it's an honor to be the first. It's not one I take lightly, and I'm really excited about being a mayor for the entire city of Stockton, including the African American population.
You're also going to be the youngest mayor in the history of Stockton. And what do you? At your victory event last night, there were many young people there. Many of them younger than you, as a matter of fact. What's the message to them? Do you think when they look and see what you have accomplished at a young age, and what Lang Luntow, who was elected to the Stockton Unified School Board last night, what he's accomplished at a young age as well?
It goes back, I think it's a scripture in 1 Timothy that says, do not let anyone look down on you because of your youth, but in every way be an example in terms of how you work, how you live, how you just make decisions. So, I think for young people, it shows that age and experience are often correlated, but they're not necessarily the same. Because I'm 26 years old, but I've been a council person for 4 years. I've been chair of the Legislative and Audit Committee. So I have maybe not as much life experience, but in terms of city council and governing experience, I have as much as one could have in many respects. So I think for them, it shows that the city they're part of the solution-making process, that they're part of the making Stockton better process, and that they don't have to wait till they're 50 or 60 to be involved, that they can be involved now. If not as an elected person, then supporting folks or just being good citizens.
Do you think it also sends a message that you can come back to Stockton, that you can make a life here, that you can accomplish things and make a difference in the community because they can see that you were able to do that?
Roger, that's one of the things I'm most excited about, is that this idea, growing up, I remember hearing that I would be successful if I left Stockton. That success was always defined as leaving this community. So with myself and Lang and even Jesus and countless others, it shows folks that no, you don't have to leave to be successful. that you can get your education here or elsewhere, but you could come back and be a part of this community. So I'm incredibly excited about exploring ways to provide opportunities for folks who are from Stockton who've gone off to come back home, either a fellowship program or something of that sort, because there's a lot of talent from Stockton that's elsewhere. We need to bring it back.
What do you think is realistic for this city to accomplish over the next 4 years while you're in your first term as mayor?
Ideally, working with the county to implement a housing first solution for a significant number of homeless folks. Working very closely with our Office of Violence Prevention and bring down the violent crime rates. If 0.1% of citizens do 83% of violent crime, that's a manageable problem that we can solve. I think we could double summer youth employment with partnering with the Business Council or other agencies. And what I'm really most excited about, and it's going to take a lot of phone calls and meetings, is really working with folks to really do some sort of Stockton Promise, just like they did in Oakland, to guarantee kids if they graduate from high school that there's an opportunity for them elsewhere. And that's a lot of work. It's going to be difficult to do, but I really think we can accomplish that in 4 years. In addition to figuring out what can we do besides just cops for the 5 hot zone areas in the city.
Can you talking about the Oakland Promise, describe what's being done in Oakland?
Yeah, so the Oakland Promise is this amazing public-private partnership. That number one guarantees if you graduate high school from Oakland that you have some sort of scholarship to pay for college. And then number two, it also has like cradle to career supports, it has pre-K supports, it has early childhood interventions, it has all the things that kids need to be successful, even if they come from troubled communities. And it's a model not just in Oakland, but in Pittsburgh and Kalamazoo, and it's something that I really want to bring to Stockton. But it's going to take a lot of help, so you guys out there, I need your help to do it.
There were victories last night, not just for you, but for Dan Wright, Susan Lenz, and Jesus Andrade that you mentioned. And when you look at what the council is, the composition of the council when everybody gets sworn in a couple of months or less than 2 months, how does that make you feel? How do you think that's going to play out? How do you think that's going to work as a collective group?
I'm incredibly excited for this new council. They're all thoughtful, intelligent public servants with a heart for making the city better. We may not agree on every single issue, but I think we all are fundamentally about making Stockton better. And because of that similarity, I think we're going to do great things. So I'm excited about working with Councilmember Wright, Councilmember-elect Andrade, and Councilwoman-elect Lenz to really move the city forward, in addition to the current members of the council.
At your event last night, there were a lot of people using the word bittersweet when describing the outcome because of the election of Donald Trump as president. What's your reaction to that news that it seems like nobody saw coming up until it happened last night?
Well, if you look at the return, San Joaquin County got it right, in my opinion. And the lucky thing is we live in a system of federalism, which means the president, but he's not the dictator. So at the local level, the city of Stockton, again, made the right choices. So we're going to do our best to make sure that Stockton is an example to the rest of the nation of what's possible, despite who may or may not be in the Oval Office.
I met you almost 10 years ago, and I remember you were at the Maya Angelou Library, and we did a story because you had won an award from Alice Walker, the author. And at that time, I could tell you had ambition and that there were a lot of things that you wanted to do, but did you ever envision at that time that everything would happen so fast and that less than 10 years later you'd be elected mayor of the city?
Absolutely not. I think God's incredibly good, and I'm very thankful because, again, at that interview, I was convinced that success for me was going to be found outside of Stockton. Being ambitious, but not in Stockton, doing things outside of Stockton. So I think it's an incredible honor. It's something I don't take lightly. I'm excited to get to work, but for 10 years from sitting in the Maya Angelou Library to now be mayor of the city, it's an incredible story, but it's a Stockton story, and I think this community should be proud of that. And I'm looking forward to the other great stories we'll tell over the next 4 years.
Okay, let's discuss some of the key issues that you and Stockton are going to be facing going forward. what do you see as the ultimate remedy for relieving the city's crime and public safety issues? I mean, those things never completely go away, but
and according to the research, in my opinion, it's really a question of opportunity. So as mayor, my focus will be providing as much opportunity for people as I can, so that people can make the right choice and make good choices. And understand that everyone's not. But I fundamentally believe that the majority of people, when presented an opportunity for a good education, a quality education, or a good job, will do so. So as mayor, it's my job to make those opportunities avail themselves. So working very close to our police chief and our police department, because I really believe that Stockton can be a model, again, for what police-community relations look like. It's not always going to be nice. It's not always going to be pretty. We're not always going to agree. But that's what relationships are, right? So just working really close to our police department, our police union, and our citizens to really figure out how do we hold each other accountable for making our community safe, and then working with our community-based organizations, the philanthropic sector, our business community, and really figuring out, outside of law enforcement, what other inputs do the communities who have issues with crime need? Because crime's not the only issue. Unemployment's an issue, poverty's an issue, educational attainment's an issue. So working closely in that way.
Job creation, can you talk about how this area is going to get more jobs that are kind of jobs that people can make a life out of?
Yeah, so job creation is A1, and it's going to be more than one thing. So a big thing is working very closely with our school districts to provide education and skills for young people in our schools, especially in coding education. In San Francisco and San Jose, for example, every young person who graduates has to learn how to code before they graduate. So something like that in Stockton is important. Working very close, so just training people for the jobs and careers of the future, number one. Number two, working with our economic development department to provide incentives and increments and things that make it enticing for businesses to come to Stockton and invest. Number three, really create an entrepreneurship ecosystem, a place where young folks, millennials, older folks want to come and try new ideas. So things like Hubble 2.0 or Third City Coalition. I'm supporting efforts like that to make Stockton an attractive place for entrepreneurs and job creators. And then supporting our existing small businesses. The majority of our small businesses have 8 or less employees, so kind of working with them and providing them the skills they need to scale up. And working closely with the San Joaquin Partnership and the Business Council and all the other entities dedicated to providing more opportunity for Stocktonians and ensuring that the mayor's office and the city council and the city of Stockton are a part of those discussions and very supportive of those efforts.
And you mentioned homelessness. Can you go into a little bit more detail about what you think needs to be done and what can be done? I mean, obviously, the county plays a leading role in that, but what can the city do in cooperation with the county?
So I'm eagerly looking forward to the county's report in November about what to do about the homelessness issue. But I remain fundamentally convinced that housing first is the way to go. It's been done in Salt Lake City, San Diego, and it works. It's just expensive, so working with the county and figuring out how do we house the homeless people we can't house. As a city, we could also do zoning changes to allow for tiny houses and micro apartments. I've been working on that for 6 months. I'm looking forward to next year when we're actually able to make those zoning code changes to allow for folks to do tiny houses and micro apartments if that's a living situation for them.
Can you describe a little bit more what Housing First means for people who may not be familiar?
Yeah. So Housing First is a novel idea. The idea is that to win homelessness, you have to put people in housing. And that oftentimes people who are homeless have other ills. Sometimes they're mentally ill, post-traumatic stress, drug addicted, and it's hard to get treatment and services when you're living under a tent, under a freeway, and you're worried about rain, the elements, or people stealing your stuff. So Housing First is a strategy that says you stabilize people in housing first, and you deliver services to them. And it's shown to be expensive, but also it works. So that's something we have to work towards. We have to demand as a community because it's what works in homelessness.
And I'm guessing it doesn't have like a 1-year time limit.
Oh no.
And then shape up or ship out.
No. It's stabilize folks into housing, and hopefully permanent housing that lasts for a long time.
What does it say that after all of the controversy over the implementation of Measure A and the struggles to retain officers, the fact that they undeniably are behind their targets for getting staffing up to where it was supposed to be by now, that voters were still willing by a 2/3 majority to pass a tax for better library and recreation services.
To me, it suggests that people understand that public safety is not just a function of police officers, but it's also a function of opportunity. So I'm excited for Measure M because our kids need things to do. We need to open up more libraries, we need to have more recreation activities, we need to have more opportunities for young people to be safe and supportive and have opportunities to learn and grow. So Measure M is such a big deal. I'm so excited about it. And it shows that, again, the community of Stockton is sophisticated. We know that taxes aren't the answer to everything, but when it comes to important things like opportunities for our young people, we're willing to pony up for that because it's a smart investment.
Another measure that was passed ended finally citywide voting for the city council. You know, it's going to be district voting starting in 19 months. I know you were in favor of that, and frankly, just about everybody, as far as I can tell on the council, was in favor of that. What do you think is the importance of it?
It's important because we live in a democracy, and because Stockton is such a diverse community, every district is different. I've always said it's ridiculous to have to run citywide for a district you represent. It's too expensive, it's undemocratic, and it makes people feel like they have a voice in the system. So I'm excited that it passed, and I think we also have to do a good job of making sure the public is educated as to kind of who candidates are, what they stand for, and why they should or should not support a particular person. But it's a win for the city. It brings Stockton in line with the rest of America. I'm excited for it.
What do you have to do in the next 7 weeks between now and the time that you're sworn into to prepare yourself for taking the mayor's position?
Rest, get some sleep, first of all. Number two, I think the community also has to do some healing. Despite the resounding victory, there's still a lot of folks who are really invested in the outcome of this election. So I'm making sure folks are okay and all right. I'm in meetings with people. There's a lot that hasn't happened. There's a lot I don't know. So actually today, this afternoon, I'm meeting with the city manager to talk about what the first 100 days will look like, and meeting with the police chief and all department heads and with the community and really figure out a solid transition plan. So we hit the ground running because there's so much work to do in Stockton, but I'm excited to be a part and to be the leader leading a lot of that work.
What do you think the first 100 days should look like?
The first 100 days should look like appointing a good vice mayor. Number two, working with the county on this homelessness issue. Number three, having the tiny houses and macro apartments zoning change done. Number four, having a strategy for the hot zone communities. Number five, ensuring the Marshall Plan committee meets. Number six, it would be great to double the amount of summer youth jobs we offer. Either partnering with the business council or with private enterprises to make that happen. So as you see, I've been thinking about these things because I think the first 100 days are important to set a tone for the city.
What about decorum at council meetings? The last council meeting that was held, as it happened, I was not there, but I understand, it got out of hand at times. What can be done to improve that while at the same time continuing to allow freedom of speech?
So the job of the mayor is to make sure the quorum is had in the meeting. So free speech is important. It's a fundamental right. It's why America is such a great country. But free speech doesn't mean you get to abuse public officials either. So as mayor, I'll be adamant about reading the rules of decorum before public comments and cutting people off if I have to. If they're not saying anything that pertains to how to make the city better or anything on the agenda and they're just attacking people, that's unacceptable. And no one signs up in campaigns and puts themselves through the ringer to be called a B word like Councilwoman Loftus was at our last meeting. That's unacceptable, and it won't happen as soon as I'm sworn in.
One other thing I should have asked you about was, you've been a part-time council member. Now it's a full-time job. What is that? That's obviously going to give you a much greater opportunity to devote yourself 100% of the time.
It's funny because during the summer, there's a joke in City Hall that, it's summertime, that means Tubbs is off work and school's out, we're going to be busy. So now that I'm full-time, I know the city staff is like, okay, There's gonna be a lot of work to do, but it's gonna be good work. So I think it means a lot. For me, I'm excited to just focus my full energy and attention on how to make Stockton better. And also for the city, I think it's good to have my energy, my ideas, my job is to figure out how to make Stockton better. And again, it's such an incredible honor. I'm really excited for it.
Have you and Mayor Silva communicated since the results came in last night?
No, we haven't yet.
You didn't hear from him, and you didn't contact him?
I haven't heard from Mayor Silva.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Michael.
Thank you.
You haven't.
I haven't heard, but he generally doesn't communicate, so I'm not. It's part of the course.
Yeah. And what is your message to his supporters who now are going to be seeing this transition take place?
Yeah, well, I think it's a message from the entire community. When 70% of people agree on something, it's very clear that that's what the consensus is. So the message is that Stockton has a lot of work to do. And we have to do better. That things like homelessness and that animal shelter and crime are important. So be a part of the solution. We need everyone to be invested in making this community better. So I welcome a big tent party over here. I welcome everyone who's really invested in making Stockton better and not talking about the problems, but really figuring out what are solutions and how do we get there.